Welcome back, everybody. We are going to be talking about quadratic equations, zeros, and models today. So something that I really want to be sure everyone knows is that anytime that we're talking about zeros, solutions, x-intercepts, roots, all of these words at the top of this page, they are all synonyms to each other. We are going to do the exact same thing to find our zeros, solutions, x-intercepts, and roots. It's just we use different vocabulary depending on what context we're talking about. And so anytime that we're looking for zeros or solutions for quadratics, we have 4 different ways that we can do this. We're going to talk about completing the square and graphing in class. But factoring, you guys know this as Xbox. But I really want you guys to get familiar with referring to it as factoring. And so with this, especially since our leading term or our a value is not 1, we're going to want to do our x box. So we have 6 times 6, which is 36, and then we put the negative 13 at the bottom. So then negative 9 and negative 4 add to negative 13 and multiply to 36. And so then we make our box. So we have our 6x squared and 6, and then we put the negative 9x and negative 4x and pull out our common factors. So this would be 2x minus 3 and then 3x minus 2. So we have 2x minus 3, 3x minus 2 equals 0. So now we're going to set each of those factors equal to 0. So this would be 2x minus 3 equals 0, and 3x minus 2 equals 0. So then I'm going to skip a couple steps just because I'm running out of room, but x would equal 3 over 2, and x equals 2 over 3. Now, regardless of which method we end up using, we should get that x equals 3 over 2 and x equals 2 over 3. So we'll see that in completing the square in class. And so now we're going to do the quadratic formula. And so if you don't remember the quadratic formula, I always recommend listening to the Pop Goes the Weasel song one more time. So I'm going to play it while I write it. If it plays.
The quadratic formula's negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a.
So hopefully that song gets stuck in your head over and over and over again, so that way you remember the quadratic formula. And so in this case, our b is negative 13. And so since it's a negative 13, negative b would just be a positive 13, plus or minus the square root. We have to put that negative 13 in parentheses when we square it. Minus 4 times our a value of 6 times our c value of 6, all over 2 times our a value of 6. So you can type all of this into your calculator. I'm going to go ahead and show you guys how you would simplify this. So this would be x equals 13 plus or minus the square root of 169. And then 4 times 6 times 6 is 144, all over 12. So we get 13 plus or minus the square root of 25 over 12. Now this plus or minus means that we have 2 separate solutions. So this is going to be x equals 13 plus 5 over 12, and x equals 13 minus 5 over 12. So 13 plus 5 is 18. 18 over 12 simplifies to 2 over 3. And then 13 minus 5 is 8. 8 over 12 reduces to 3. Or sorry, I have those backwards. 18 over 12 reduces to 3 over 2. And 8 over 12 reduces to 2 over 3. So again, we get x equals 3 over 2 and x equals 2 over 3. And then, as I said, we're going to talk about completing the square and graphing in class. So then now we're going to focus on the discriminant. And so the discriminant is just the underneath of our square root from our quadratic formula. So that's b squared minus 4ac. And so if what is underneath our square root is equal to 0, that means that we no longer have a plus or minus, and we're just going to have one real solution. If that is greater than 0, as it was in our previous example, we're going to have two real solutions. And then if it's less than 0, that means that we have a negative under our square root, which means that we're going to have two complex solutions. And so we'll go through one of these examples of example 1, and then we'll do the rest in class. So let's look at number 2, or let's look at B of example 2. So our b squared minus 4ac, in this case would be negative 1 squared minus 4 times our a value of 2 times our a value of 4. So this would be 1 minus 4 times 2 is 8 times 4 is 32. So this would be negative 31. Since this is negative, we are going to have two complex solutions. So we'll talk more about this in class. Have a great day.